Hello, and in today's video we are doing EFL Championship predictions for match week number 10 of the 2022-23 season. Well, we do of course very sadly mourn the passing of her late Queen Elizabeth II. Rest in peace, Elizabeth, fantastic queen. But this week, there's midweek games as football makes its return after matches were postponed last weekend following the death of Her Majesty the Queen on Thursday, and this is match week number 10. But before we do get into our predictions, we're going to just catch you up where we've been the last few weeks, because match week 8 championship predictions, we did a video and we put some comments out and we got some comments as well on the video, and I thought I'd review how those got on, how my predictions got on. And then of course I predicted match week 9, posted the video, and then of course the games got called off. So we will obviously predict those games maybe another time, if not at all. But they are just not going to happen, so there's no point talking about it really. But let's of course first review match week 8, which was a very fantastic round of games, very fascinating results. And we had West Brom against Burnley on that Friday night football to kick us off, and we predicted in that game a 2-2 draw. It was 1-1, so 5 points for the correct goal difference there. Very, very good. A good result actually in the end for West Brom, because they were losing for a lot of it, but Brandon Thomas Asante comes on to get a debut goal for the Baggies, and Jay Rodriguez scoring against his former side. So yeah, pretty happy with that. 5 points, we'll take that. Sorry, it just it went to the wrong bit there, so let me just get back to where we were. Luton Town against Wigan. I predicted a 1-0 Luton, so no points for me in that prediction. Didn't expect that from Wigan. Fair play to them. They got the victory. Unfortunately for Luton, they just kind of bottled the game late on, and that was a good result for Wigan. So fair play to the Latics there. Then, as we look back at some other games, Blackburn 2, Bristol City 3. I said a 2-1 win to Blackburn. So fair play, Bristol City. Very good result. I don't think many people would have seen that game coming. Naki Wells with a brace. Ultimately, though, Blackburn have recently been a bit more dodgy compared to how they started the season. So still, very good result for Bristol City. No points for me there, so we're still remaining on 5. Then we had Norwich against Coventry. I predicted a 4-1 Norwich. It was 3-0, so correct goal difference again. 5-pointer. Very nice start to the week. 10 points so far. I mean, Norwich were very good in that game, and Timu Puki finally scoring some goals again. But Josh Sargent has been in some absolutely sparkling form for Canaries. So, yeah, very good win for Norwich, and good for our predictions as well. Millwall against Cardiff, we went for a 2-1 Millwall. It was 2-0, so not quite the correct score, but at least we got the correct result. 3 points there, nice, 13 so far. Good win for Millwall. I think Charlie Cresswell came off the bench to score, and Benik Afobe as well, getting a goal. A player we were actually linked with Watford in the summer transfer window, but we ended up going for Keenan Davis. And talking of which, he was superb in Watford's 1-1 draw against Rotherham. He came off the bench. He showed great impact, really good in his hold-up play, and looks to be a great player. So hopefully he'll do well at Watford. Ultimately, it was a fantastic finish from another Watford striker, though. Vakun Bayo, 2 goals in 2 games for the Ivory Coast International, and what a goal it was. Unbelievable strike. The ball in on the left-hand side, whipped in really well by Ken Sema, and that is a fabulous, fabulous goal. So, really good point. Ultimately, Rotherham were a tricky opposition. They did get the goal, and it was poor for defending from us, really. Richard Wood given far too much space and a bit of a mix-up at the back with Cavaselli and Cathcart. So, yeah, not ideal, but at the same time, it is what it is. We can't do anything about it. Wondering why Sierralta's not getting the start. That's a bit of a strange one for me, but Rob Edwards knows what he's doing. So, yeah, a point. We're still unbeaten away from home. You got to take that. It's just, we would like to see an away win, that's for sure. Swansea against QPR. It was a 1-0 in the end. I actually did predict a QPR win, 2-1. So, good result this for Swansea. I think the only goal in the game was Pirot for Swansea. Yeah, Joel Pirot. So, good result. And I went for a Watford 2-0 away win with both goals from Joao Pedro. And he unfortunately didn't quite deliver on that promise. But, still good performance from Pedro and a fantastic piece of play at one point in the match where he was running back, looking very, very dogged in determination to defend for his team, even when he's basically a number 10. Joao Pedro hopefully will get the goals next week though. Preston against Birmingham. This is a good one. I say a good one, a funny one. I brought in a Preston defender, Story, I think it is, the defender, and I was like, yep, Preston, another clean sheet. They've been 0-0 drawing all season, and as soon as they do that, of course, I curse Preston. They lose 1-0, and Birmingham get the goal through Colin. It was a very good win for Birmingham. So fair play. We've learnt a bit more about the Blues there, but ultimately did not see that coming. I went for a Preston home win, I think. Yeah, 2-0. So again, no points for me there. So it's not exactly going too well after our strong start. We were doing well, but now we're only on 13. So let's hope for some more points somewhere. Then we had Reading against Stoke. I went for a 2-1 Reading win, and that's exactly what it was. 2-1 to the Royals. Of course, would have been the opponents for Watford last weekend, but that game was called off. And ultimately, it was a good win. Lucas Joao is doing well for that Reading side, and Ben Wilmot, the former Watford man, of course, getting on the score sheet for the Potters. So it's a good result for Reading. They're doing well this season. I'm kind of glad we dodged that bullet, to be honest. But I actually got that bang on, so very happy with that prediction. 20 points now. Moving on, Huddersfield Blackpool. We did go for a 1-0, but we said 1-0 Huddersfield. This was a close game, and ultimately a very controversial game, because how Huddersfield were denied a goal, we don't know. Goal line technology had a fault. It's awful. It's really awful. It's basics. VAR, fair enough. You probably don't have the, money for that and the stadium facilities, but come on, goal line technology is a given, whatever the division, in my opinion, it should be. So absolute shambles from the EFL there, but look, Blackpool take it. It's a good win for them. Huddersfield are really struggling. They are really in trouble right now, and Theo Corbeau seems to be the man for Blackpool. So yeah, it's not good for right now for the Terriers. And Hull beaten by Sheffield United 2-0. Look, Hull did start the season well. Estepinian has been absolutely banging them in. But at the end of the day, Sheffield United are looking really strong this season. And I'm just glad we managed to beat them on the opening day, because since then, they've been superb. So really, really good result. Ollie McBurney finally gets a goal, and Sander Berger as well for the Blades. So yeah, the final game was that big derby, of course, the Middlesbrough-Sunderland match, and it was a bit of a dross. I say dross. It wasn't brilliant from both sides, but I think Middlesbrough deserved the win. They had more shots, even if they didn't have as much of the ball. They earned the win. Riley McGree with the only goal. So yeah, good result for Middlesbrough in that grudge match. So not great for our predictions, really, because we didn't say that would be a Middlesbrough win. We went for a 1-1. However, we did say 3-1 to Sheffield United, so another 5 points there. Correct goal difference. So we end the week on an absolutely beautiful 25 points from 12 games. I mean, that is absolutely brilliant. So cannot complain at all. And we look ahead to match week 10. Of course, all these games were called off, and there's not a lot we can do about that. But quickly, looking ahead, before we do, we're going to look back at how the comments got on for last week's predictions. We had Tristan. Thanks for your predictions, mate. Really appreciate, he follows the channel, Tristan. And, if you feel like it, drop your predictions this week as well, so we can see who scores more points. But West Brom Burnley, you got it bang on the money. Very impressive, and no editing in sight there. So, fair play to you for that one. Luton Wigan, I'm afraid that was wrong. Blackburn Bristol, again, wrong. Preston Birmingham, I mean, that was a pretty solid prediction, you would have thought. But no, Birmingham win that 1-0. Of course, Norwich was 3-0, so bang on again. That's 2 correct scores. You've had a decent start. And then you also said Millwall to beat Cardiff, which is, of course, was correct. But it was 2-0. So, again, I don't know how you've done this, but a correct score. So 3 correct scores. Reading Stoke was wrong, Huddersfield was wrong, Sheffield United was bang on the money, and Middlesbrough was a correct goal difference. So you've absolutely blown the water with me this week. But we move to match week number 10, and let's see who gets the win this time around. Okay, match week 10 then. We're going to start off with this Blackburn against Watford game. Big game for the Hornets. It's actually watchable on Sky Sports Red Button. But Watford looking to really improve their away form. I mean, that game against Reading has been rescheduled. So it's played on the 8th of November. So that will be an upcoming future game. But you look at this game and you think, Blackburn, they've been so strong this season. But the last couple, you think maybe there might be an Achilles heel there. I mean, it's a top of the table clash, 6th against 7th. Maybe these teams will be near the playoff places come the end of the season. But their last victory was, of course, that one against Bradford in the cup, which was a good one, to be fair. They also did beat Blackpool with Ben Brereton Diaz. He is the man that I'm worried most about, to be honest, on Tuesday night, because he just knows how to get goals in the back of the net. But, you look at, all right, Blackburn's recent home form, it's not been superb, other than that win against West Brom. They've really struggled. So I fancy this to be a decent chance of points. But, that Watford, head in me that said, oh, Watford, we've never won at home this season, does make me a bit worried. We need to kind of fix that soon. But as I'm too optimistic, I just can't go for anything other than a Watford win. So it's a bold prediction, but I'm going to say Blackburn Rovers 1, Watford 3. Goal scorers, I think first of all, it'll be João Pedro to get on the score sheet for the Hornets. Then Blackburn get their goal through the aforementioned Ben Brereton Diaz. Watford goal scorers in the second half, though, after a 1-1 at half time. First of all, I don't think Ken Sam will be on the score sheet because he is a bit of a doubt through injury. Instead, I think it'll be another defender. This time, it's Christian Cabaselli, if he even plays. And then the third Watford goal, yes, I think it will be Asprilla. So therefore, goal scorer timings. So first of all, Pedro on the 23rd minute. Then it will be a goal from Diaz on the 39th minute, going into half-time. That second Watford goal scored by, of course, yes, a bit of a unlikely source, but Cabaselli, 65th minute of the game. And then that Asprilla goal comes right at the death, 90+2, to seal a nice Watford away win to kick us off away from home this season. Right, now we've got Huddersfield versus Wigan. This is a sort of match I can really be seeing quite tight because they've both really struggled this season. Huddersfield sitting in 23rd. Wigan, okay, yeah, it's not been awful because they won last week, but ultimately it's still not been great this season for the Latics. So I think as poor as Wigan have been, Huddersfield have been even worse. So I can see Wigan getting the 3 points. Huddersfield 1, Wigan 2. Then it's Hull against Stoke. Now, this is the sort of match that I think people are going to expect a fairly comfortable Hull win because of how good their strike force has been with Estepinian. But I look at that Stoke team, I think there is promise there. As much as they are losing games, they've got a decent kind of crop of players, and I think they can at least get a point out of this one. Hull have been losing as well, so this could be a tight one. Hull 1, Stoke 1. Then it's Middlesbrough v Cardiff. Now, obviously a very important result for Middlesbrough in the derby against Sunderland, whereas the matchup for Cardiff City was unfortunate last week. That second successive defeat. I mean, they're in a bit of a, confidence knock right now. So I'm going to back the home side. I think Borough have been impressive after they start the season a bit more dodgily, if that's a word. No, poorly, I should say. I think that's going to change now, and they've got a very good coach. So he knows what to do, Wilder. Middlesbrough 2, Cardiff 1. Then we've got Swansea against Sheffield United. This is a really interesting game for me because I look at that Swansea team and there's some great players there like Pirro, like Brewster. But then I think sometimes they just have an off day, and Sheffield United are a really tough test. So this will be a really tricky one for the Swans, but I think Sheffield United are going to get the victory here. So I'll say Swansea 1, Sheffield United 3. Then it's a game between Preston and Burnley. I'm pretty sure this will be a bit of a feisty one because it's a fairly local rivalry. And Burnley, they know, they're going to get stuck in, and they're fighting for points at the top of the table. So I think Burnley are going to edge this one. Preston, they did get the win last week, but I don't think they're going to keep that up against this Burnley side that have got a lot of threats. including the likes of Josh Brownhill and Jay Rodriguez. So Preston 1, Burnley 2, and I'll say that's going to be an away win there for Vincent Kompany's men. Then we've got Luton against Coventry. Luton absolutely threw away the result last week. Coventry, on the other hand, well, I just don't know how to fathom it, but they are really stinking out the league so far, when last season they were superb. I don't know where it's coming from, but 4 defeats in a row is never good for confidence, and obviously they've still got games in hand that got postponed due to their home fixture shambles, but that's not the point. The point is they are still really not performing in games, and now Luton have got a home game to respond to that disappointing result. So I think they'll put a few past this Coventry side, unfortunately. I say unfortunately as a Watford fan, but to be fair, Luton, they're looking like a solid, mid-table, maybe even, challenging for playoffs team at the minute. So results haven't shown that, but I think this result will show that. So I'll say Luton Town 4, Coventry 1. Then it's a match between Millwall and QPR. A big, of course, London derby, this one. So with all the games being a bit more under scrutiny this week, with the funeral of the Queen on Monday the 19th, there's going to be a lack of police. So therefore, this game is going to be a difficult one, but I think it will go ahead. The Premier League have confirmed that they will be going ahead with matches outside of Manchester United against Leeds, Chelsea against Liverpool, and Brighton against Crystal Palace. The Palace game was already postponed because of a rail strike, but unfortunately that is not going to get put on now that they've postponed it. I think it's unlikely. So that's not going to go ahead. Then United game is because of the rivalry. Leeds against the Red Devils is always fierce, and then of course Chelsea in London. So Brentford game is not as much of a problem because of the low stadium capacity, and it's not really a rivalry with Arsenal. And then of course Spurs Leicester is not really much of a rivalry either. And if they just have it as they can do one Saturday, one London game each day on Saturday and Sunday, that's manageable really. So that's fair enough. But regarding the Championship, all games look like they're going to go ahead, as far as I know. So this one, Millwall against QPR, should be fascinating. QPR, they are a team that I honestly feel can be up there with playoffs next season. It's just, will they have that consistency that we know they could do? But losing last week won't be ideal for them, and a good result for Millwall last week against a very decent, on their day, Cardiff side. So I just feel this is a game that could be tight. I don't think QPR will breeze it. I think it will be a 2-2 draw here. Then it's Norwich against Bristol City. This could be a fascinating game. I think this is certainly a watchable one, just because of how well Bristol City have recently done. An upturn in form has really helped them. And Norwich, on the other hand, have really done well, with Sargent and Pukki getting on the score sheet recently. So I think most people will predict a Norwich win, but I think Bristol City are just really good right now. So I'll say an entertaining draw, 2-2, once again, just like QPR. And then we've got Rotherham Blackpool. I don't see this being complicated for Rotherham. I think Rotherham against Watford were impressive, and they have defensively got a few issues, but I do feel Blackpool have got even more issues. So I'll say maybe a tight one, maybe a 2-0 to Rotherham against Blackpool. Okay, penultimate game then this week is Reading Sunderland. This I probably will want to watch because it looks fascinating. You look at this and think, well, Sunderland, they want vengeance after last week missing out against Middlesbrough, and they've still got a very decent team. They're doing all right. I kind of thought they'd be near mid-table, and they're doing well in 8th. And Reading have really impressed me. Good win against Stoke the other weekend, and they're just scoring goals and they're enjoying their football, and therefore I think it'll be an entertaining match. It's 3rd against 8th, but I feel this will be another 2-2 draw, believe it or not. And we round up our predictions with a final game, West Brom against Birmingham. Now, this is the game that is on Sky Sports Football, and I don't know. Actually, no, it's not. It's on Red Button. Sorry, it's on Red Button. No, what I was going to say was West Brom Birmingham. I feel like this is much, much closer than people think. Now, I say closer. I expect a West Brom win, but Birmingham I thought were really, really good last week. That game against Preston, I don't think they were favourites, and they did really well. And it was a good goal from Collins. So, yeah, Birmingham maybe will just have a bit more spring in their step, but I don't feel that's enough to stop this West Brom team. West Brom 3, Birmingham 1. Thanks for watching my EFL Championship predictions for match week number 10. And just quickly, before we leave you, we will just show you what my current and final fantasy team is for match week 10. As I say, last week it was a bit of a shambles because of the fact that, unfortunately, what was I going to say? Unfortunately, the games got called off. And I don't really mind too much about Championship. Like, it's one of those things, I play it just because Watford are in the league, but I don't really care about it. So I could, score as many points as I like. It really doesn't matter to me. But last week, it wasn't the most ideal game week with all the games off. But it's fine. I really don't care about Gaffer. But yeah, previous week was not ideal. Pedro, not great against Rotherham. But this is how we're lining up in game week 10. I don't really see much to do, so I've just brought in Colin. I think he's a very good player ahead of the West Brom game. So Backman in goal, that's all right. It's a decent team. Captain Pedro, just because I'm a blind Watford fan that can't see, a better captaincy option when it's right in front of me because I'm just too optimistic. Pedro actually did score in the Blackburn game last time we were in the Championship, so maybe he'll repeat that feat. But I just feel he's so good. He's so good, and he can put defence, any defence, on the back foot. So that's my team. Not too bad. Ogbene's on the bench. Didn't do well against whoever they were playing last week. In fact, did I bring in Ogbene for last week? I can't even remember now. Yeah, I did. That's unfortunate. So yeah, I made my transfer early to get in Ogbene, and then of course he didn't have a match. But I think we actually dodged a bullet there because he had Sheffield United, so we've done well there. But even against Blackpool, I don't fancy him this week. I think Weimann could actually score against Norwich, as tough a fixture that is. So there we go. Match week number 10 ruled off. Hope you have enjoyed. Get yours in the comment section below. Remember, it's 3 points for the correct result, 5 for the correct goal difference, and it's then, of course, 7 for the scoreline. Thanks for watching. Come on, you Horns!